years, mass amount of criminals are not fighting those, instead swings around on whether it's parties together, whether friendly with still with. A lot of this can be mentioned as almost and much similar to as if our specialists into this. A lot of the Nazis to swoon other guys and celebrate probably also can be regarded as another case of fellow's own detriment. Whether own people's detriment, if it's a case more, or whether more of a case, whether if the case of more of a, whether if the case of whether another, whether if at the recent instance more preferable, probably could be mentioned, of whether probably whether to recent instance of probably the more preferable of to in the case of being TV host more of celebrating own people's detriment. The business these days are just selling envy and disabling themselves and getting paid in a way they're not getting income, they're getting salaries. And the government's in a way not collecting taxes, they're collecting their salary. Well, the salary given to those is the taxes. The middle class being paid tremendous amount. In a way, the whole country is a legal nation, and afterward, whether just and whether and whether the United Nations, that organization named as such, became this. In a way, it's like can a lot of the guys just wait? Don't use a universal name. In a way, it's just maniacs. To the other, actually surrender not to your potency, not to their potency, but because reason that could be regarded as probably a generalization, but because there's threats. Because you mentioned about immortal, you mentioned about colon, you're trying to target other people's colons. Like these gamers type GG, it's like two hooks that try to hook people when they're already getting into bad situation. They put this much effort into checking others. Well, there's no shortage of those. There's shortage of me, there's shortage of Gaddafi, there's shortage of the Kennedy brothers. Right? Sometimes the Kennedy deaths is like, what happened, guys? Kennedy is not dangerous at all. He's reasonable. Just listen. You guys don't even understand Mandarin. I'm very glad actually the ones with some intellectualism are at least honorable, are at least sensible also to others. Because in a way it's sort of more of it is when compared to the Nazis. In a way, intellectualism and this level of honorableness is sort of the average. Now, at that, a lot of those levels of average, or whether those level of honor, with a bit of rascalness, is quite so problematic. But because they sort of are threatening, they can attack others. So others sort of have to say. I just want this to be out there, and whether I want those to at least have once recognized of this, and we have a text copy. After the technology age reached to this information age, shouldn't there be a lot more great usage of the technologies instead of the technology being turned into the other information age, while acting more wrongly and whether contradictively, and whether whack, amongst other words, and probably also the word and also amongst whether and amongst other words, the word with foamt vile, whether vile, the word vile with foamt. Whether with Gomak, whether with Gomak, the word vile. The other information age that whether that will be, and whether that's also the probable to suitable, whether it's probable to be from whether it's probable to be suitable from whether it's probable to suitable, and whether another to probable to be to suitable of this gossip, chit chat, mass fumation around information age that's drown out history itself. Right? In a way, almost any stuff that is vanity doesn't really work. We gotta stack on the military, stack on the stuff that's going to equate to the results when it is to rescue, and whether it is to solve these situations, whether to rescue some of the critical problems, whether critical events or critical locations, whether and with minor rather than whether and another whether and whether they minor or critical issues there. In other words, they supplying to whether continues from reason there, whether in catch on the reason there, suitable, kind of suitable for whether it continues for a reason there, and considerable as supply and due of. The reason they're mentioning about the whether besides being the whether other than whether not just dysfunction, right? There's and whether besides dysfunctionness there, which was mentioned, whether besides the dysfunctionness there is this not a lot of words or phrases I cannot really mention. Not with gladness, even with dodge now with as much gladness, whether or not major enwithness, major endorsed to either, because there's been so much tover usage. It's got to be different. So if that's not optimized, even on the merit, maybe the person can do that. She's probably a gesture on terrorist, and whether distantly, indirectly, and equivalent to suggestion from whether equivalent to indirectly suggestion from terrorists. These entities yet to appreciate its welfare, and as if it is really asexual. The other utterly other principles haven't been cleaned. That indicates how few are the predators they have. Yet what's up with all that? A lot of chit-chats and gossips is really by the federal government, where the League of Anti-Spasm, or whether the League of Nazis really actually became the government, while they're doing a president game. Recent word there of whether recent of word they're doing not to provide worse. It doesn't need to be there optimized, because sometimes there's a habit, and isn't that important? A lot is maniacness. It is frenzy, impoliteness, using the most bold names. Do they claim more than above? Is it from cash? And that's alright. Some of those aren't even due for cash. It's not without contaminants. And a lot wouldn't be super like a definite response to. Because then that would be like it's also public familiar. It will be at the public level of certain work. It will be a bit of mixture. It's probably suitable that way. From a multiple enough multiple to the whether multiple reasons. Probably also the suitable for whether to probable to be whether another whether it's probable to suitable. And it will be because there will be mixtures. There's a lot of this, for instance, whether for example there some of the entities would infect Steve Jobs, and he will be doing it not because he want to do it. He's being intimidated. A lot of these intimidators use utterly different words, and they are really utterly brutal, and they're meant to spot them in a word. Life forms have yet even began, and there are so many areas yet a lot of regular person, whether Gorams also could improve on. But extremist Gorams, for instance, and the Zombists already attack. Whether extremist Gorams already attack, doing all this much nonsense, uncooperation, utterly hostile. These keep declaring hostile, keeps toying around, not answering. And as if it's just simply comedy, like much of the medias over there, on whether madness. But really it is a degeneracy, in which the police department continue to go to them in combating some boogeyman like Kennedy, which probably the reason Kennedy was killed. The same thing with Saddam and Gaddafi, or whether Gaddafi mentioned first, whether Gaddafi into much other than Saddam also do, or whether reason also do, and whether reason Saddam for the probable to also do, or whether not, or whether Saddam also, or whether also Saddam, or whether Saddam also from this level of culture contaminates, right? A new age begins. And soon will begin when the countries combine forces together. If we can, we'll do some comparative dirty work, which is hiring 100,000 soldiers from lands like Mali, Algeria. These have enough of them. We set up these school centers, can be makeshift, sort of the faster types, but even without as of a roof, namely, it can be a different type of roof. With a certain style, the model number it will be even more different. Suppose, right, as the countable is probable for whether as a rhetorical, and with the reason mentioned there, whether also phrase and whether statement, and whether reason and minor whether, and also statement on whether reason, and also phrase and whether also statement whether reason, and whether also phrase and whether reason whether, and whether also statement. Reason there, whether also phrase the probable tells us, and the van which or whether of the probable either, and whether the probable tells us, and whether it's also the suitable of the probable tells us to believe, whether the probable to believe the probable tells us to, and send those ones to various places and have them start sweeping clean the places. Economic is important. They associate with envious status. We should remove the ones that are not obedient to anyone. They're not even obedient not to gravity, not to nature, not to themselves. Reason that could be considered as probable providence too. Latin life is probably show, right? Like the word show them. Show, or whether and minor whether to probable also. It could be whether it's also, and whether upon reason whether on whether there, and whether to from, and whether from to, and whether to for whether at to before to for, and then the word from wouldn't as be there to, and whether thereof, and whether first of the probable of which, and whether to probable of the probable to good be, and whether it's reason to probable of to be to probable to also to be. So then if they're connected, then it's written, and whether it's written, and whether it's written, and whether in text format if it will be probable 3 probable within close relationships, and whether close distances. Whether it's about the same phrase region, or whether and whether reasons comma single mark or, and whether reason whether or similar, and whether near, whether similar, and whether location, and whether similar locations. Show matches with, and whether matches with the expectations, and then there comes the set of show, and somehow it will give a coin in the end. That coin should be supported. If there comes to a breakout, it will naturally come. It's not enforced by the being. They are beings. Too many humans operate as not beings. They operate as and whether with rather, also the whether and with rather of quomark space, or quomark of the 1 unit distance away from, or whether quomark a bit of distance and human. They operate as if they're knowings, but they are really beings. Wait. Things will advance if you are willing to slow down. Like pregnancy, no one forces pregnancy to come at 6 months. You just have to wait for it. So wait for it. How in a way, right? Ruthless maniac, out of order, a lot of humans are. With quomark in similar format as the reason mentioned of, whether as the reason of. This in a way is like common sense, and check out the whether and which minor right. Check out the level of, check out the discrepancy they form from this their way of conduct, or whether disarm way, whether dysfunction and disarm way of conduct with this level of their basicness. Can they even actually be even? That's why they keep messing stuff up, because they're not even, they're not enough, they're not smart enough. And notice if the word beauty is combined with luck, what are present there, that's actually being smart. Beauty in ways it's not something that's extra, that's actually the basic level. then can we check which of the creatures that messes things up the most, and are they beautiful? It's been there the whole time. Those ones doesn't notice it for some reason. Check out how much work I have to do, right? Can't compare it with a certain amount of work. Just because I've done it doesn't mention it's a simple task. Which ones others could do it, right? And which one does actually be given less? I came from could be mentioned as a socialist country. And socialist countries are pretty rotten if someone is from Kansas, like those regions of Kansas, say some farm. Even though they can be pretty talented, they just happen to be a low location, therefore they get a much lower premium. This premium can actually be erosive, because the absence of certain basic necessities, while other ones have it, and they run it with insolence. There are exceptions and they're usually, and whether almost all regular folks, and whether also usually regular folks, and usually regular folks, and it becomes, that's proven by the Nazis, solid evidence of whether proof for the content. If there is asked some more questions, pseudo questions from there on, and whether if asked more pseudo questions, and not they may or may not answer, and they may not answer, and then probably not going to be answered to and whether reason and whether they, and if answered with the consideration whether was told, whether was also another, whether with consideration those are whether reason and another reason bracket factor, and whether there's no whether with consideration instead of whether with consideration. Those are pseudo questions. The intent is hostile. It's hostile there. It is not really to benefit it, or whether there's the intent is the hate is not to them intended there, or whether there is hate is not to them, or whether there is not to them intent, whether there's hate is not to them intent to harm there, or whether there's hate is not to them involved. If it was a bit of Nazism contaminates considered as then sort of Nazism, like Mona Lisa's painting, even with, for instance, there, whether, for example, some sort of gibberish with some goo on it, then it becomes it's sort of in a way goo classified as goo type from whether goo categories of paintings, right? Whether of painting there's probable either, whether to both, and whether to probable photo could be from whether to probable to could be a photo probable, to also to be from whether to probable to